Hello everyone. The name of this subject is ground improvement techniques. The topic is compaction, unit number 1, lecture 3. So the objective of this subject is to understand the basic principle of compaction, to analyze the importance and its applicability, to differentiate between compactability and consolidation. So what is compaction? A simple ground improvement technique where soil is densified through external compactive efforts is called compaction. So the initially the soil particles are loosely packed. It is either compacted directly or it is compacted with the help of adding moisture and then rammed over it by a heavy weight to minimize the amount of voids available between the solid particles. Compaction is the process. The soil particles are artificially arranged and packed together into closer state of contact by mechanical means in order to decrease the porosity of soil and increase its dry density. There are few laboratory tests which can be done to understand compaction. Uh, Basically, to obtain the compaction curve and define the optimum water content and the maximum dry density for specific comparative effect, there are two experiments which can be done, which is standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test. So for standard uh, Proctor test, what we do is we have a mold which is compaction mold, and it has a quantity measurement of 1000 ml, and there is a hammer, a ramming device, which is a hammer. And basically what happens is the soil is in a standard Proctor test, what we do is the soil is filled up in three layers, and each layer has 25 blows on each every portion of the soil particles, and the hammer which is used is of 2.6 kgs weight, and the drop from which the hammer is being dropped is around 310 drop. And for modified Proctor test, which is an advanced form of Proctor test where optimum compaction can be achieved, here the soil is filled in 5 layers, and again each layer undergoes 25 blows, which is spread all throughout the soil, and the hammer which is used is of 4.5 kg hammer, and the drop is higher than the standard Proctor test, which is 450 drop. So a laboratory compaction test includes standard Proctor test that we previously discussed, the cylindrical mold of 100 internal diameter and internal effective height of 127.33 capacity of 1000 cc or 1000 ml is used. The detachable base plate with remove extension collar is um, given to the container, and the metallic hammer of diameter around 50 and the weight of 2.6 kg with a fall of 310 So the dimension of the hammer which is used is 50 diameter and weight of 2.6 kg. The steel straight edge is of about 300 in length, and one edge is with one edge leveled. The balance that we use has a sensitivity of 0.01 a sensitivity and has a capacity of 10 kgs. And the sieve that we use for standard Proctor test is 20 and 4.75 So this is the basic structure of the mold that we use. So it has a cylindrical container. It also has a collar structure, and then a leveling instrument to level out the structure, and a hammer. So the procedure is to prepare about 6 kg of soil sample for 1000 cc mold by sieving it through 20 and retained at 4.75 So it should pass through 20 but should be retained by 4.75 So smaller than 20 but larger than 4.75 it should be clean, dry, and slightly greased. The mold should be clean, dry, and slightly grease the mold as the base plate, because the soil has to eventually the soil fillings have to be removed. So the way the empty mold with the base plate without extension collar. So the extension collar should be removed and the weighing should be done. Take about 2.5 kg of the soil for 100 about like tire mold for light compaction. Then add water to the soil specimen to bring the moisture content to about 4 to 5% in sandy soil, and mix the water with soil thoroughly. Divide the wet soil into 3 equal parts. Put the soil in 3 layers and compact. Each layer is given 25 blows. So for standard Proctor test, we know that the soil should be filled in 3 layers, and 25 blows of each hammer dropping from a height of 310 mm should be maintained, and it is homogeneously spread. The blows is homogeneously spread, and it helps us to achieve extreme good compaction, and we can also derive optimum water level for compaction. Before putting the second layer, make scratches on the first layer with the help of sharp edge tool, just to create extra bond and adhering property, so that the first layer and the second layer does not get segmented and they stay connected. The second and the third layer are similarly compacted. Now rotate the collar to break the bond between it and soil. So the collar will have a certain handle which needs to be uh, rotated, so that the water and soil and the collar, like the bond between them, gets uh, broken. Trim of the soil to make it flush with top of the mold. Clean the loose soil from outside and the base of the mold. Now weight the mold with base plate and compacted soil. Now eject the soil out of the mold. Take a representative soil from the center and keep it in the oven for water content determination. Repeat the procedure by 6 to 7 times by increasing the water percent by 2% in turn. So by changing the amount of water, we should try to compact it, and with each experiment you have to add 2% extra of water, and similarly the soil sample along with the base plate should be kept in oven for determination of water content. The bulk density and the corresponding dry density of the compacted soils are calculated from the following relation. This is the formula. Zero air void lines, a line which shows water content and dry density relation for the compacted soil containing a constant percentage of air void, is known as air void lines, and it is calculated using this formula. Zero air void conditions, which is Na equals to 0, then this is the formula. The relationship between water content and dry density for a degree of saturation S can be given by the following formula. So this is a graph which shows the water content density along with dry density, and we can point out that the optimum water content, which which helps us to attain maximum compaction, is W. Modified Proctor test. It is a modified version of the standard Proctor test. In this compaction, the compaction is needed for heavier transport and military aircraft. Standard Proctor test can be done for traditionally small constructed houses, residential buildings, institutional buildings, but with heavy load and extra intensity loads, modified Proctor test is preferred. Uh, in this result, there is only few differences. The major differences are 5 layers. The soil is filled in 5 layers, and 25 layers, as usual, common with the standard Proctor test. But the weight hammer which is used in this modified Proctor test is 4.5 kg. hammer, and the drop height is of 450 mm. So this is the result. You can see that the optimum compressibility or the maximum dry density could be achieved using modified Proctor test when compared to the results of standard Proctor test. Field compaction test. The soil can be compacted in field by three methods. First is rolling, ramming, and vibrations. So rolling, smooth wheel rollers, crushed stones and granular sands can be uh, rolled down by smooth wheel rollers, whereas pneumatic type rollers for soils and deep foot rollers are for cohesive soils such as clay. Lorries and pneumatic tired rollers are for construction of plants, for construct pavement of plants, and for track laying vehicles can also be used for can be used as rolling equipments. Ramming equipments, which ramming equipments are confined, like they have confined utility as it can be used only in certain areas with high need for higher compaction is required. Um this has much better compressive ability as compared to the rolling ones. So one is dropping weight type, second internal combustion type, third pneumatic type. There are another form of vibrators which can be used for compression, which is for cohesionless soil, like dropping weight type and pulsating hydraulic types. So we'll discuss about all these. So the smooth feel is usually very common in sight while construction of road. These smooth wheel rollers are of three types. The conventional three-wheel type with two large smooth face steel wheels in the rear and R and one small smooth faced drum in the front weighing around 20 to 150 kilonewton. Tandons, rollers weighing from 10 to 140 kilonewtons, and third, the triaxial tandem roller weighing up to 120 to 180 kilonewton. So you can see that the as per the need for more and low load, we're designing structures with high load carrying capacity, or highways or roadways with high load traffic or heavy traffic. The gradually the weight of the rolling equipment, smooth wheel rollers, can increase so that the high compaction can be achieved. Smooth wheel rollers are usually self propelled and are equipped with clutch type reversing gear so that they can be operated back and forth without turning. So this has an advantage that it does not like require turning of the whole equipment. It can be directly moved forward and backward in the same direction to attain compaction in a certain area. Pneumatic typed rollers. These rollers are most common. The common form of pneumatic roller consists of box platform mounted between two axle and the rear of which has one more wheel than the front. The wheel mounted on the front axle being arranged to track in between those mounted on the rear axle. The tire pressures in the small rollers are of the order 250 kilonewton per meter square, and in the heavier rollers the pressure ranges from 400 to 1050 kilonewton per meter square. The small rollers are heavy type loads for heavy type loads of about 7.5 kilonewton, while the bigger rollers have tire load ranging from. Okay, let's talk about sheep foot rollers. So sheep foot rollers consist of hollow cylindrical steel drum on which projecting feet are mounted. The weight of the drum can be varied by filling it partially or fully with water or sand that they are molded either singly or in pairs on a steel frame with and it is towed by either a truck laying or pneumatic tired tractors. The load weight per drum ranges from 15 to 130 kilonewton, and the foot pressure range from 800 to 350 kilonewton per meter square. So this is track laying vehicles. These are excessively used in other countries, but this makes the construction process extremely faster. The advantages of tracked or wheel, these vehicles, they have high efficiency in traveling into undulated lands where there is no smooth surface, and it can cover large surfaces, even a land which cannot is not properly built, or it does not have stable ground, can also, these equipments can also run in such areas. They are suitable for most of the village areas which are unconstructed and um, un which are not preferred with other vehicles. And wheeled vehicles have a deficiency that road should be properly constructed. For this equipment, there is no need for such roads, and it is suitable for soft, low friction, uneven ground such as mud, ice, and snow. So it has a high usability. Plus, these can be run through any surfaces, uh, even through marshy lands. So rammers, these are one form of compacting devices. Rammers have a, you can see the wheel or the ramming wheel on in back of that vehicle. So you can see that it has a triangular shape. So it has a free fall tendency which hits the ground and compresses the soil beneath it. And so you can see the whole structure. These are attached with large, heavy vehicles, because these structures can need require extra strength, as the construction field where these equipments are used are usually unconstructed. They do not give like, they are extremely rough areas, and it may have a lot of inundations. To carry such heavy loads, heavier engines are used, and it is usually used for highway construction. And it is very rarely used because the availability or the usability of this equipment is quite low as compared to the other rollers. The ramming for compaction of the soil comprises of pneumatic and internal combustion type of weighing from 300 to 1500 Newton. So you can see that it is extremely heavy, it is extremely large, and it has high, like the weighing type is extremely high, which ranges from 300 to 1500 Newton. So the engine that requires its pushing and pulling has to be extremely strong as well. The engine should be extremely powerful to pull such loads. And then the ramming, you understand by the word that the ramming means hitting, or the loading, sudden impact loading on the soil, which exerts extreme pressure on the soil so that the soil can get compacted, and the voids in between them can be drastically reduced. This equipment is used for high range of compaction below the depth of the soil. The internal combustion type jumping rammers, known as frog hammers, and weight up to 1 ton. So there are different varieties of rammers. One known as frog rammers, and the weight can go up to 1 ton. So these equipments are special equipments where it fulfills the purpose of special needs. Okay, and usually this is rarely ever seen in our construction purposes. And the bigger part is it has the ability to undergo compaction. It can make the soil compacted to a very deeper level due to its uh, ramming properties, but not as compared to the weight dropping, because the excessive load is applied due to free fall of the loads. So here, a comparatively good, better than the roller that we see. Then, moving forward, the vibrators. Usually, vibrator consists of a unit which is handheld, and it has a weight, and it tends to jump up and down. And this pulsating movement of the mold tends to uh, like vibrate the particles into the voids and reduces the voids in between them, tries to reduce the porosity in between them, and it is usually it creates a proper consolidation for only the top layer and does not work for a very deep level of compaction. So vibrators can be done for the surface level work, and whereas the ramming can go deeper, the rollers can go to a certain depth, but the ramming thing can go up to a higher length, a higher depth of ground. So the achievement of compaction will be, till now, will be much better in ramming equipments. And we can see that the vibrator is just to provide a proper surface. It's only on the surface level that it can provide. It cannot go very beneath the surface. It is just for giving a proper aesthetic finish. Now let us understand about the water compaction, like factors affecting compaction. So this is quite crucial because compaction undergoes a lot of stages which should be kept in mind. First of all, you know that excessive, if there is an optimum level of water content, maximum compaction can be achieved. But the moment excessive water is added in the soil mixture, what happens is the water tends to have bleeding properties. The soil tends to run away along with the water. So the optimum, like that is the reason why we have some laboratories tests like standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test to accumulate, to calculate the optimum water content so that maximum amount of compaction can be achieved, and that is how we can calculate how what amount of water should be required to achieve the greatest compaction. And we know that compaction is quite necessary to prevent unsettling and to resolve some soil properties such as expansive and compressive possibility, or freezing and thawing of the soil. So lesser the volume, less will be the water which can be retained by the soil, and compaction is quite essential. We know that the amount of compaction also plays a necessity, it's an important role, because if a soil sample is compacted uh, over and over again, the amount of void which is available in between the soil is constant. So, with unnecessary work, you're delaying the work process, you're increasing the cost of that person, cost of that equipment being used. The more labor for a very long duration should be needed, but to an optimal level where maximum amount of compaction can be, if that is found out, you can save the amount of time, you can save energy, you can save the amount, the number of duration for usage of the equipment, you can limit the use of workers, manpower. So these things have to be understood so that unnecessary wastage of time does not take place, because so the void are a constant level, but with compaction, with proper amount of compaction done in a correct way, can be achieved, and no unnecessary compaction needs to be done. Then there are different types of compaction that we have already discussed: the roller, ramming, and vibratory. So we can understand the roller goes up to a certain depth, but the ramming goes to a deeper depth, whereas the vibratory compaction only stays on the surface, and it is only for the aesthetic purpose. And we should also make sure that we take care about the soil type that you're using, because soil type plays a crucial role, because some soil, they have a tendency of mobility, and with water they are totally immobile, like clay and silt, they have unstable structures and they are cohesionless soils. uh, Addition of admixtures. We can also have additives which can be added to the soil and water, so that it acts as a bonding agents and provides much better strength. So as an additive material, we can also use lime or cement or any other like gypsum. So these additive materials are quite necessary for achieving extreme good compaction. So water content, as we know that even in concrete, water content plays a crucial role. With less water, the soil will be cohesionless and uh, it will not compact properly. So it is quite essential that the soil becomes highly partially saturated, not highly saturated, partially saturated, so that the soil can have easy viscosity. The amount of friction due to its movement can be reduced, whereas excessive amount of water content can actually cause bleeding, or it can create a lot of faulty points where the water gets accumulated. But proper thorough mixing of the soil is quite crucial. uh, as in laboratory, maximum compatibility can be achieved, but in reality, for the construction site, that level of compressibility cannot be achieved as we can do it in labs. Okay, from laboratory compaction test, the water content is increased and the compaction density goes on increasing till a maximum dry density is achieved, after which further addition of water decreases the density. So these things are quite crucial. Okay, and uh, the laboratory test indicates the optimum level for certain soil, but for achieving the same amount of compactability is quite difficult in construction sites, as the soil cannot be thoroughly properly mixed. When we have a small soil sample, it is quite easier for us to mix the water thoroughly and saturate the soil, but in case of the original construction site, such practices cannot be practiced. But if you are equipped with well equipments where you can achieve proper saturation of the soil, then the optimum or the maximum compressibility can be achieved. And the tests that we conduct in laboratory are very, very essential to understand the optimum water level, because optimum water level is the key factor for compaction. Uh, to achieve maximum compacted ground, or for ground improvement, the water plays an extremely important role. So, amount of compaction, the effect of increasing the compacting energy result in an increase in maximum dry density and decrease in optimum water content. So this is an important factor to understand the amount of compaction which can be which is necessary for proper compaction. So increasing the compacting energy in terms of either ramming or sudden impact loading can result into increasing the amount of compaction, and it will decrease the optimum water content which is required. So moving forward, the method of compaction. There are various aspects. The first one is weight of compacting equipment, because the lighter vehicle or lighter equipment can compact a certain depth, but with heavier equipment, with heavy loads, what we can do is the compaction which is achieved is very deeper, and it goes under deeper heights, deeper depths. The manner of operation. The manner of operation means we have already discussed. It can be rolling type, it can be ramming type, it can be vibrating movement, pulsating motion. So these three can be used, but the best one is ramming type. Whereas if you have to achieve the smoother surface, vibratory is the option to go for. So as per your application, as per your need, you need to manifest the desired equipment for that function. Third is area and time of contact between compacting element and the soil. So the compacting element is nothing but the equipments that we use for compacting the soil. So the bigger thing is that if the area is large and you need to achieve higher level of compaction, what we do is the compaction should be the compaction of the soil should be such that the heavier equipment should be used, whereas it should also fit the dimension so that less time and maximum compressibility can be achieved. So there are certain, if there is a restriction of land area where tinier structures have to be tinier or small sized equipments have to be used. So there we can go for some alternative equipments. But if there are availability of large lands and to uh, to be highly productive and less time consuming, we can opt for larger and heavier equipments for compaction of the soil. And the amount of exposure with the compacting element and the soil is also important, whereas sudden impact is very less duration of it has very less duration of the compacting element and the soil, but it achieves maximum compressibility or compaction. There are different types of soil. So the maximum dry density of soil depends upon the type of soil that we are using. So it is quite important to understand the soil which requires compaction, because each and every soil type has its own optimum compressive strength, and that is the reason why a soil sample is taken to labs wherein it is tested and the optimum compressibility is derived. Well graded coarse grains. If the soil is is of very good quality, it has well graded, like highly dense and coarse grained soil, the compressibility, the density will be much higher, and the compressibility will be way more effective than fine grained soils, because they require more water, and if the requirement of more water will result into a puddle forming situation. So all these things have to be kept in mind. So for fine grains, the lubrication will be higher, and if the lubrication is higher, the amount of water for the lubrication will also be higher. So here the optimum, the water content goes above the optimum limit, and the results are maximally, the results can be uh, calculated, but it is much recommended to have soils which are well graded and coarse grained when compared to fine grained soils. But for the case of fine grains, we have to understand the alternative of adding more water for achieving that specific amount of uh, compaction. So if you have well graded, then go for it, because it gives you much higher density and much better compressive results. But for fine grain, we have to make sure that the water that we use are because they require more lubrication. The water content should be added in a higher quantity. So this is the graph for dry density and water content. This is the compaction curves for a range of soil types. So we can understand with different soil types, we have different sort of dry density along with dif different water density, water content, amount of water content. Okay. Addition of admixtures. So we know that admixtures are added to the cement for achieving desired conditions. Similarly, in soil, similarly in soil, admixtures are added to modify the compaction properties. So if the soil, if only mixed with water, saturated with water and compacted, will give you a certain result, but adding admixtures can modify and enhance the compaction properties, and can also make it such strong stabilized form that it can carry extremely heavy loads. So, some of the additives are: calcium chloride is widely used as chemical additive for compaction. So, let's move forward. Effects of compaction on some type of soil. So, we understand that with compaction there is decrease in velocity voids, and when there is decrease in voids, obviously the permeability of that particular soil decreases. Then there is a change of the structure because initially the soil particles were loosely arranged. Now, because of the compaction, what happens is it is extremely tightly compacted, and there are only minor voids which are left between the soil particles. And due to which the when the water gets absorbed, the shrinkage is already very less because the voids have been already shrunk. Then swelling, because the water cannot percolate in between the soil particles, so it becomes really difficult for the large amount of water to seep through and get the soil, like coat the soil, adhere the soil with excessive water, and which will result into swelling. So with compaction, the swelling problems of swelling can also be greatly reduced, and the probability of producing cracks can drastically be reduced, due to which there is no excessive force on the foundation of the building. Compressibility again, when there is excessive void, the compressibility is extremely high, but with the reduction of voids, the compressibility of that particular soil sample is low. So compaction makes the soil less compressible. It makes it stiffer. It makes it stiffer, and the movement of the soil particles is extremely less. Then the stress and strain characteristics, that the soil uh, has the capacity to undergo a lot more stress and capable of retaining lot more strain characters. And most importantly, the shear strength of the soil sample is also highly increased due to the compaction. So these are the most important characteristic changes that we have after compaction in a soil sample, and these are a very important portion for ground improvement techniques. So with compaction, the soil bearing capacity can be increased, and the soil becomes ready for construction of heavy, uh, large storied constructions. Then we have to understand the placement of water content. The water content used in the field for compaction is called as placement of water. So the water content cannot be just directly sprayed onto the soil, and compaction can be done. It is required that the whole sample of the soil is first driven out, shifted to a mixing area where the optimum water level is mixed, and the soil is left to mature. And after the maturing takes place, then the soil is totally placed back in different layers, and along with compaction on each layer is done. Okay, so it may be equal to or lower than or higher than the optimum water content determination in the laboratory. So there are other conditions which affect the site and laboratory, because during site we have excessive summer hotter temperature, due to which excessive the water gets evaporated, and the surface area is also more, hence the rate of evaporation is also higher. So excessive water is usually preferred, while proper saturation of the soil. So let us move forward to multiple choice question. The number of layers of soil compaction depends on. So first is type of soil and the amount of compaction required. So we have to, then the second option is soil content or the water content of the soil. Second, third, none of the mentioned. Fourth, all of the mentioned. So the answer is A. Soil, type of soil, and amount of compaction required. See, we understand that until and unless we understand which type of soil is uh, needs compaction, and each and every soil has its own different dry density and water content, optimum water content for maximum compaction. So we should first initially understand the type of soil which is required, and second is amount of compaction required. Again, each soil has its own compressibility, and certain equipments are specially designed to deal with such soil types. The number of soil layers and the number of tramps per level depends upon the type of soil and the amount of compaction required. So we understand this. Second, the rolling equipments are of how many types? 5, 4, 2, or 3. So we have already discussed that the rolling types are of 5 types. First is smooth wheel rollers, pneumatic tire rollers, sheep foot rollers, pneumatic tire construction plant, track laying vehicles. So we have already discussed all these equipments in detail in the previous slides. So for each type of, like, we have understood, and along with rolling equipments we have already understood about other type of equipment such as ramming and vibratory equipments, and we have also understood the depths or the usability of such rolling equipments. So let's move forward. Sheep foot rollers is most suitable for compacting fine grained soils, cohesive soils, cohesion-less soils, clay soils. So the explanation, the answer is B, cohesive soils. The sheet foot rollers are recommended for compacting cohesive soils, but are not considered effective in coarse grained cohesion-less soils. So coarse grained cohesion-less soil is nothing but sand. So for sheet foot is highly recommended for areas where we have excessive cohesive soils. Okay, let's move forward. The tire pressures in the smaller roller are in the order of 250 kilonewton per meter square, 400 kilonewton per meter square, 500 kilonewton per meter square, or 100 kilonewton per meter square. So the answer is in the order of 250 kilonewton per meter square. So for the explanation, smaller rollers are having a tire load of about 7.5 kilonewton and pressure in the order of 250 kilonewton per meter square. So we have already learnt about the tire pressures that is used, which is ranging from 250 kilonewton per meter square. Which of the following rollers have wheels mounted at slight angle with respect to the axle? So which of these following rollers have wheels which are slightly angled with respect to the axle, the main axle? So the first option is sheep foot rollers, second is smooth wheel rollers, third is wobble wheel rollers, fourth is tandem rollers. So the answer is wobble wheel. We can understand by the word, the wobble means itself the wobbly sort of, where the axle is totally like this, there is a slight angle and the movement of this vehicle is a bit wobbly. The answer is C, wobble wheel rollers. Explanation: to provide kneading action, and the wobble wheel rollers have wheel mounted at the single angle with respect to the axle. Okay. The performance of a compacting equipment depends on: first, soil type; second, water type; third, particle size distribution; and fourth, all of the above. And the answer is all of the above, all of the mentioned. So it is quite crucial for us to understand that during compaction, the soil type plays an excessive role. The water content, that the amount of water that we're using, is also excessively important, because optimum water level has to be achieved for achieving optimum dry density. And the particle size distribution, we know that with larger, coarser, well graded particles, the water content is extremely low, but whereas for particles with smaller size, fine grain size, they require excessive amount of water content to achieve compressibility. So all these types define the are interconnected and are extremely important to understand for achieving extreme compaction. So The answer is D, and the explanation is the performance of compacting equipments depend on the soil type, as its particle distribution and its water content. Which of the following types of vibrating unit use in a vibrator? So out of the balance weight type and pulsating hydraulic type, uh, first option, second option, piston hydraulic types, third, none of the mentioned, fourth, all of the mentioned. So the answer is A, out of balance weight type and pulsating hydraulic type. So the explanation is vibrators consisting of vibrating units of either the out balance weight type or pulsating hydraulic type mounted on a seated plate or roller. Jumping rammers that are used for compacting the soil is also known as frog hammers, combustion hammers, pneumatic rammers, or none of the mentioned. We have already understood that there is a highly used rammer, which is frog hammer, which has much better compressive compaction ability. So the answer is frog hammers. Explanation is internal combustion type jumping rammers are also used as frog rammers. They weigh up to 10 tons. It is extremely high. For ninth question, the pneumatic tire rollers are best suited for cohesionless soil, cohesive soil, cohesionless gravels, and all of the mentioned. So the answer is all of the mentioned. Explanation is due to the combined action of pressure and kneading. Kneading is pressing them into a denser area, removing all the voids. Kneading makes pneumatic rollers best suitable for cohesionless soil, cohesionless sand, gravels, and cohesive soils. The foot pressure in sheet foot rollers ranges from 800 to 350 kilonewton per meter square, 800 to 3500 kilonewton per meter square, 300 to 1500 Newton per meter square, and D option is 350 kilonewton per meter square. So the answer is B, 800 to 3500 kilonewton per meter square. And the explanation is for sheep foot rollers, the foot pressure ranges from 800 to 350 3500 kilonewton per meter square. So these are some of the reference books that we have used, and thank you so much.